Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to High School Wrestling on the Region Sports Network, streaming on Facebook.com/Region Sports, RegionWrestling.com, RegionSports.com, CrownPointSports.com, and new tonight, YouTube.com/Region Sports. We come to you tonight from Crown Point High School as Team Toyota in Schererville presents the Crown Point Bulldogs taking on the Lake Central Indians in a DAC wrestling duel. My name is Nathan Laird, and I'll be joined on the call of the matches tonight by Louis Acuna and Larry Babcock. Good evening, guys.
What's happening, Nathan? How are you?
Good to be working with both of you guys again. We have anytime you come out for a Duneland Athletic Conference duel, you know it's going to be a lot of action. It's going to be very competitive, and tonight should be more the same as the Indians and Bulldogs. No matter what sport, Larry, you ref pretty much every sport under the sun. When Lake Central and Crown Point go to battle in any sport, it's intense. There's a big rivalry there.
Yeah, it is, and we're going to have some really good matchups here, from a wrestling standpoint, and I anticipate, things to be intense in the whole match because, Lake Central would like to come in here and pull the upset off.
Yeah, Lake Central wants to, maybe shock the state here a little bit and get this win over Crown Point. Lewis, we saw the Bulldogs just last week at the Portage Duels. An interesting finish, to say the least, that they looked really good against Indianapolis Cathedral, the three-time defending state champion, and based off the fourth or fifth criteria, I think they announced that Cathedral got the win, but still an impressive showing for Crown Point.
Definitely an impressive showing for Crown Point. I know that they're a little salty with the result. They felt like they left some points up on the board to go get the outright win for themselves instead of tying and losing in criteria. So I expect them to come out tonight firing, ready to put on a show for the home crowd tonight.
It's senior night here at Crown Point tonight, so that's the festivities you're seeing right here. And I think this is smart, guys. We saw this a little bit in the fall. We're seeing this here in the start of winter sports as well, because it's still 2020. Who knows what the future holds in regards to this winter sports season. Let's make sure we get these seniors honored, make sure we get them their moment that is so rightfully deserved. And senior nights, which at a vast majority of schools are usually the last home event of a given sport. 2020 winter sports season, we're doing them earlier in the year, which, I'm sure you guys agree that that's a great thing to do to make sure, like I said, these kids get their moment in the sun here.
Oh, yeah. You want to give these seniors their shine. I kind of like it earlier in the year, especially, just in case everybody's healthy, too. You want to make sure these guys are celebrated for all their accomplishments that they've done in their given program so far.
Absolutely. And Larry, in any of the sports you've been reffing, have you seen other senior nights so far this early in the season?
Yeah, it's going to happen more and more. I think you're going to see a lot more, senior nights, even in basketball, move to January. Because again of the unknown, we don't know what's going to happen. I know that the philosophy downstate is they're working in 2-week periods at a time. When I was fortunate enough to work the Unified Football State Finals this year, I had a chance to talk with Commissioner Paul Knighting, and he had mentioned their philosophy there is 2 weeks at a time. We're looking 2 weeks out, and that's kind of where they're working through right now. And at any point, the governor can pull the plug, and we're back to where we were last spring.
Right, and we're not at that point yet, thankfully, and the precautions they're taking. We saw it at Portage last week, the mist. We saw them sanitizing the mats here earlier at Crown Point, making sure everybody's healthy and safe, and done all their tests before they even hit the mat tonight, which is just a great thing to see. And this sport is going to continue, and not only are we here tonight, we're going to be here at Crown Point again on Saturday as Team Toyota presents the live stream of the Carnahan Memorial Invitational. I believe it's the first time the Carnahan in its history, will be live streamed here from Crown Point High School, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning here, and championship round scheduled to begin at about 5 o'clock, so all day wrestling for you here from Crown Point. That's not it, though, as we're also going to be at Hobart. We got the Super Duels out at Hobart on Saturday as well. That's down to now 7 teams. Valparaiso, unfortunately, had to drop out of that one, but we'll have wrestling all day for you Saturday, presented by our friends at Team Toyota. Do business with the team that supports wrestling. That's Team Toyota on 41 in Schererville. And what's going to be different about those is tonight, and like all events, winter sports in Lake County, because Lake County still has the red status, 2 parents are allowed, and I believe siblings in some cases are allowed as well. So that's where we have a crowd here at Crown Point. You got parents from both Lake Central and Crown Point. With so many teams coming to these 2 events on Saturday, It's going to be the wrestlers, it's going to be the coaches, it's going to be the workers, the managers, and the Region Sports Network at both sides as well. Parents not even allowed in the building on both. So if you want to watch wrestling on Saturday all day long, keep it locked in here to regionwrestling.com, facebook.com/regionsports, youtube.com/regionsports. We'll have it for you, the Carnahan and the Hobart Super Duels. And senior night festivities are complete here from Crown Point. They're going to run JV on a couple mats. We'll bring you those JV mats as well. May not have all the names of all the competitors in this JV event, but we'll bring those to you. And, guys, what are you looking ahead to the varsity portion of the evening? What are you kind of looking for? Any matches that kind of stand out in that card we got from both coaches with their lineups earlier today?
Yeah, I like that. I really like that 113, Ball versus Cortez. I think that's going to be a strong match. I think that's going to be a match you're going to see throughout the season between those two all the way through the state tournament. So that one intrigues me. And then I like, the Roberson Helden match too. I think those are going to be, pretty good. And that 152 Estrada Ponce, I think, is going to be a strong match as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. All those matchups, especially that 152, it could be an early sneak peek of the East Chicago Semi-State Championship right there. So I'm going to circle Estrada Ponce, number 1 versus number 3 in our East Chicago Semi-State.
That's coming up later today. We are starting at 1:38 once the varsity gets started. Again, we're going to bring you the JV mats. We're going to try to show you both mats at once here on the JV. Again, they are running those with 2 mats. We'll try to bring you both of those at the same time, the best we can. And once JV is done, I believe they're going to center things on one mat. Don't know if they're going to be using the spotlight this evening. Not too often use that during the regular season for just a conference duel, but it is Crown Point Lake Central, as we talked about, Larry, a big rivalry. So maybe you bust out the spotlight. We'll see.
I think they do here at Crown Point go down the one mat, very similar to what Hobart does. They break down the one mat, put the spotlight on, and personally, as a referee, I enjoy those matches because you don't get enough spotlights until you get, and you sometimes don't get any, and then you get into the sectional if you're at Portage or, somewhere like that or Crown Point that runs a spotlight. It's a different look on the mat for the wrestlers. It's a different look on the mat for the referees. So I like when they do that during the regular season.
And from a referee's perspective, something we talked about the other day, how it gets a wrestler hyped up. Does that get your blood going a little bit more as a referee under the spotlight, or do you got to kind of keep it as calm as you possibly can?
I don't know that it gets us as hyped up, but you do. Anytime you get the spotlight on, you get some energy. It's a different year this year because, for example, the Carnahan, as we saw last year, if you recall, I had the 106 match that was scored in the championship right at the end there. And you had all kinds of fans in here, and the place was electric. And so it's a different year refereeing with no fans. And I think I even think for wrestlers, you can put a spotlight on, but not having the energy in the building is tough this year.
Yeah, and it's going to be a different environment here as we will see. Again, JV starting here momentarily. Some final work with the books, then we'll get going. And if you're watching here on Facebook.com/Region Sports, Larry's watching the feed as he's commentating on it. So if you got a question for Larry Babcock or the crew, go ahead, put that on there. Larry, you want to monitor those and answer any questions that the fans submit as the night goes on?
Yeah, absolutely. Every broadcast I try and do that and get interacted with the fans. So, if there's something you want to share or a comment you want to make, by all means, put it on there. You won't offend me. I can't speak too much for my colleagues, but
I get offended very easily.
Cool, calm, and collected always.
You guys can handle all the bad comments. I'll just take the good ones.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Spoken like a true producer.
That's right. I thought you were going to take a shot at, being a Griffith guy, something like that. But no, you went with my profession instead. So thank you very much.
Well, we won't talk about your Griffith days.
No, we don't need to talk about those at all. So we're getting set to start here at Crown Point. JV wrestling, again, coming up on 2 mats here between the Bulldogs and the Indians. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, spending your Thursday night with us here on the Region Sports Network. Again, if you haven't checked it out before, youtube.com/Region Sports. We're trying to expand our live stream presence. We've had a couple requests late in the football season about streaming to YouTube, and now that a new season has started, we're trying some new things for you guys. So, and that's youtube.com/Region Sports. You could, same exact feed as what you get here, but you can check that out again, youtube.com/Region Sports, and of course on regionsports.com. CrownPointSports.com and RegionWrestling.com. Feeds available on all of those sites, not only for the live broadcast, but as soon as we're done, they'll be available for on-demand replays as well. Some final instructions from the referees here. I want to thank both coaches, Brendan Lorak from Crown Point, Luke Treveline from Lake Central, sending me the lineups earlier today. That always makes the job a little bit easier. I know we had that, Lewis, last week at the Portage Duels where we weren't quite sure, and I think only Cathedral was using track wrestling to get the names confirmed. So,
thankfully for Cathedral for using track wrestling so we could get the correct matchups going instead of just playing the eye test and guessing game.
That's true. So, if they didn't, we would have been in big trouble.
We would have been doing our best still, giving a great broadcast, but kudos to Lake Central and Crown Point for getting us those early lineups so we could give you guys the correct information.
So we'll have the scoreboards for all the matches coming up here in a little bit. Once the varsity gets started for JV. We'll call them as we see them. We'll see if we can get some names for you guys for these two mats worth of JV action here, and then we'll bring you the main event, the varsity.
One thing I want to kind of comment on, Nathan, is I watched the message board. We've got as always, we got some some people not real happy that we're doing some wrestling in a pandemic situation, and I want to rest assure everybody.
Are they not happy we're doing wrestling, or not happy wrestling taking place?
The one comment, I'm not real sure if they're real happy that we're broadcasting or that it's taking place, but nonetheless, I can assure you that the IHSAA is not going to put these kids in a situation that is not safe. And again, everybody has their opinions of the pandemic and the virus. And all of these kids, their parents have allowed them to come out and compete, and they feel safe enough with the protocols that have been put in place by the IHSAA. Rest assured, things are being followed. Things are a lot more safer this year because of the pandemic than probably in any other year. So, again, please don't knock people for letting their kids wrestle or for us broadcasting and showing this, because at the end of the day, I've said this 1,000 times, these kids need this social life right here. They need this outlet.
And one thing, and we talked about this on the broadcast from Portage the other day, Hobart coach Jason Cook put it perfectly, and Mike Pointer reiterated to me as well. In the room, these guys have one or two training partners. They're competing one-on-one against one competitor versus a game where you're playing man-to-man defense on 5, 6, 7 guys a night, or gang tackling and huddling up. It's one-on-one. So, again, you would think the close contact of wrestling, would go against it, but again, it's direct contact with one person versus a host of people. So again, we trust that the schools are looking out best for what's best for the kids. The IHSA is looking out what's best for the kids. We're far away from everybody else,
right.
So we're not near anybody right now. So this is being done in a safe manner.
And I can tell you, as somebody who is a father of 2 wrestlers at Hobart, I actually think the schools have gotten a lot stronger since the pandemic. I know at Hobart, Coach Cook doesn't even let them go home without hitting the showers right away. Right. And I think that's something that every school is following. And so, again, I don't, I respect your decision if you don't agree with this, but I ask that you also respect other people's decisions in allowing this to happen and let everybody enjoy the feed that's out here.
Well said. Well said. And I always remind everybody, even our own crew, if you're not feeling good, you need to let me know, because we're not sending anybody out who's a little bit under the weather. So, but we're broadcasting from a safe space here at Crown Point. We're upstairs in the balcony, watching some JV wrestling between Crown Point and Lake Central. We'll have the varsity matches coming up once JV is complete. 2 mats here of JV. On the camera tonight, Brandon Root. Our executive producer is Chris Ramirez. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in, spending your Thursday night with us. Nathan Laird, Larry Babcock, Louis Acuna here.
A couple veteran officials down there. Ray Pettit, a state finals official, on the mat to our left. and Kydell Darrell on the mat to the right.
Yeah, Larry, you won't be joining us for Carnahan coverage. You'll be reffing the event.
I will.
So we get to criticize you all day long up here.
It's all right. Yeah, that's a fun tournament to referee. Obviously, it's intense with
some drama last year.
Yeah, and it went as expected. You know, the Brownsburg Crown Point finals, and pretty much every final was expected. You know, I was really looking forward to it until the pandemic hit and a couple teams pulled out because there was some newer, more competitive teams in as well. But I believe that Benton Central's coming back up to that. I know Brownsburg's back.
There's a school from Ohio coming in.
Yes.
I believe when I spoke with Bill DeRula, the athletic director here at Crown Point earlier. He said they're still at 14. He's hoping they stay at 14, just a couple days out.
Yep. And I know that there was some question on if the Ohio team would even be here because Crown Point has a tournament that they go to in Ohio that Ohio would not let them travel to and compete in. So there was some question on if that Ohio team was going to be allowed to come to Indiana and compete. So, but all systems are a go.
Right.
So
that was one program that, and I don't remember the name of the program off the top of my head. That when I was speaking with Bill earlier, he seemed pretty excited to see that Ohio team come in there. And you guys obviously know better than I. Ohio, Lewis, a hotbed for wrestling.
Oh yeah, very much so. They're typically a top 3 state in the country when it comes to producing quality wrestling. A lot of D1 guys. A lot of D1 guys are really getting generated out of there, so that's why I could see Bill is very excited to get his guys wrestling some out-of-state guys.
And I think it's good for those kids from Ohio, too, to kind of get out because we don't know that, I know Michigan and Illinois, they're not doing anything right now. I'm not real sure the limitations Ohio has, but I'm sure they're anxious to come in here and see 13, other teams.
Right.
And, I like the Carnahan because it's kind of that sectional atmosphere. It's that individual bracket. They're seeded into that. And such a fun tournament. And Bill DeRula and company put on a great tournament and have for many, many years.
And we'll have a live stream of that Saturday morning beginning at 9 o'clock. We'll also be at the Hobart Super Duels. Field there includes Chesterton, this Lake Central Indian squad, obviously the host Hobart Brickies, the Highland Trojans, the Gavitt Gladiators, their final season of high school wrestling, Knox, Goshen, a really good field over there at Hobart.
Did I see Plymouth was there too?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Unless they added them today. That's the field over there at Hobart. That coverage is going to start at about 10:30 or so. We're not going to be there for round number 1 because Hobart versus Valpo was the marquee matchup in round 1. That's off the board now, so we'll start coverage there in round number 2 from the main gym at Hobart. They have mats in the main gym and the field house. We're just going to be in the main gym on Saturday.
And I believe, in talking with Coach Black yesterday, the athletic director, Mike Black, I believe he told the teams that were in the field house they could live stream on their own, but in the main gym we would have
we'll have the exclusive there. Yep, we'll have that for you. And, we'd like to get all that covered. We'd love to be in the field house as well, but just personnel can only go so far. And if you're interested in joining the Region Sports Network coverage team for high school wrestling, you can reach out to me, Nathan.Laird, that's Laird, at regionsports.com. We'd add you to our wrestling coverage team if you want to come out and do some announcing. Veteran coach John Cook going to be joining the coverage from Hobart on Saturday, so that's going to be a fun one out there.
I think he knows a thing or two about wrestling.
A little bit between him and Lewis is going to be out there. Dante Colza, Brandon Root, who's on the camera tonight. He's going to be driving the coverage out there, so they don't have the handicap of working with me.
Well, that's a scary thought. Brandon's going to be driving the boat out there.
No, Brandon actually knows what he's talking about, unlike yours truly.
I trust Brandon. I trust Brandon to lead my ship.
Brandon is now very nervous. He was calm, cool, and collected until now, until people said they had confidence in him. So, if you're just joining us, these are the 2 JV mats here at Crown Point. Varsity coming up next between the Indians and the Bulldogs here on Facebook.com/RegionSports, RegionSports.com, RegionWrestling.com, and YouTube.com/RegionSports. All wrestling coverage this 2020-2021 season brought to you by Team Toyota on 41 in Schererville. Do business with the team that supports wrestling. That's Team Toyota. Just had a few falls here in this this JV duel. It's moving along pretty quickly, as you would expect.
Yeah, especially when, you got some quality guys that are probably backups here at Crown Point because they can't crack the lineup at those lighter weights where they're really loaded.
They'd be starting on how many other teams in Northwest Indiana?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
That's something we talked about on a broadcast last year, Nathan, was you look at Crown Point's lineup or you look at Cathedral's lineup and you look at their JV wrestlers and how many of them would be varsity wrestlers somewhere else, in another program. But I think that's a testament to the wrestling rooms that each of those programs have and the kids that they get to compete with. I mean, these guys at Crown Point, some of them get to wrestle with, a guy who's ranked in the world in Jesse Mendez. Mm-hmm. You can't really get much better than that in a wrestling room.
Absolutely not. And again, I think maybe even more so this year when you're, limited with who you're working with and stuff as well, that might come into even more play this year. Some fans are still coming in, parents still coming in, siblings, as they're allowed here at Crown Point for this, for tonight's duel and for duels against conference opponents in the future and, one-on-one duels. But again, for the Carnahan, no fans are allowed for that one. You'll have to watch it with us on the Region Sports Network Saturday morning. Not even allowing parents in here because the amount of parents they would have to allow into the building with 14 teams coming. So at that point, you might as well just open the doors to everybody and have general admission.
I think the great Mike Reiser's here, right?
Mike Reiser will be carrying me here on Saturday, carrying the coverage all day long. I believe Mount Carmel head coach Alex Sertzis is going to be joining us for a little bit as well for an interview, and we'll hand him a microphone. He knows a thing or two about the sport, don't you guys think?
I would say, a lot.
There, you can badmouth Griffith in front of Alex. And so we'll see how that goes for you.
Yeah, well, I might be able to take him.
Might.
Before the whistle blows. After that, it's all downhill.
Yeah, then you're in big trouble there, Larry. By the way, congratulations to you and your son as well, Bobby. Signed yesterday his letter of intent. Going to go play some college football at Illinois State. Big moment for you guys.
Yeah, it was fun. When you sit and you look at the percentage of kids that get to go off and play college football, let alone Division I college football, it's a very small percentage. So, we're glad that he was recognized by a Division I program as somebody that could play there. And, Illinois State is going to be a really good fit for him. We're excited.
Yeah, a handful of region football players signed Division I letters of intent yesterday. Good to see. We got some photos from a bunch of those, including two young men at Valpo. John Hofer and Cooper Jones, 3 players from Maryville, JoJo Johnson going to Notre Dame, Phil Gunn going to my alma mater, Ball State, and Dear Kelly going to Bowling Green, and then Hobart, as we mentioned, your son Bobby, and Zach Vode going to Western Michigan.
Yep.
So you can check out those photos from their special signing days on our Facebook page right now.
And it's kind of neat, to see Hoffer and Vode going to the same school, 2 region guys in the same year. Nathan, is as we cover a lot of high school football in the region, what did that say for region football this year to have that many kids sign Division I football?
Right.
And how many more are going to sign Division II, Division III, or NAIA? Yeah,
it shows you just the quality, and you've seen that in the results the last few years with Valpo, going to state last year. How many teams to semi-state last year? How many teams to semi-state this year? Hobart going to state this year. Just shows you the quality and of football in the region. That's been on an upswing the last couple of years. And region wrestling always on the upswing. We always got, great talent. And you talk to people, you meet people out and about, and you talk about the different sports in Northwest Indiana. And the more we cover, the more I've come to realize and learn and tell people that top to bottom, wrestling's probably the region's best sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You look at the collegiate athletes that are produced from Northwest Indiana. It's hard to argue against that.
Yep. Yeah, wrestling is definitely a growing sport. One thing I love, and, Lewis can maybe touch on this, is I love the amount of female wrestlers we're getting right now at the high school level. And I would like to see, hopefully we get enough in the next, few years that the IHSA sanctions girls wrestling. I think that's awesome for the sport of wrestling that girls are in. And, Lewis might have a different feel on that, but I think it's great.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, we've seen some female wrestlers here in JV so far tonight. That's awesome. You get to see they're not IHSA sanctioned, but they get their girls state through the Coaches Association, which has really helped grow in the sport for these young ladies. And then on the next level, college and internationally, the USA is top-notch right now when it comes to the female wrestlers that they're putting out there in the world. Tons and tons of world medals that are coming in. So this is a very exciting time if you're a young lady getting into wrestling.
And I think from what we've seen the last couple of years, the way it's trending is I don't think that girls wrestling state tournament is in that too distant of the future. With the way the numbers are going up and up every year, and I think that's something you're going to see, like I said, not too far away.
Yeah, and I think, I believe in, Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Iowa runs a girls' state tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
I'm not sure if Ohio does yet, but I think they're on the verge. I know Georgia's on the verge of having a separate girls' bracket. So it's fun to see. It's good for the young ladies, to come out here and get that experience. And it's just nice to see the sport of wrestling growing in general.
Absolutely, as this is our final JV match here. Then they're going to go down to one mat and have the varsity for Crown Point and Lake Central. Again, you're watching it here on the Region Sports Network, presented by Team Toyota. Online at TeamToyotaOn41.com. Toyotathon is on at Team Toyota. There's the fall. Crown Point with the victory there. And that'll do it for, we've been calling it JV, but they refer to it as Varsity 2, which, as Lewis mentioned earlier, with some of the guys Crown Point has in their lineup, Varsity 2 might be a better term than Junior Varsity.
Oh, yeah. Just take a look at one of their stars that are on the lineup right now, Anthony Ball. Couldn't crack the lineup. This guy's ranked top 3 in the state right now. Any other team that he's on, he might have been a state qualifier, state placer last year.
Yep. Well, I think the same goes for Nick Tattini. We saw him last year kind of crack the lineup late.
Right.
And he basically forced Coach Lorick to find a spot for him in that sectional lineup because of how well he had wrestled.
They're going down to one mat here. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead, leave a comment for Larry, and he'll read the good ones or respond to the good ones.
Yeah, I respond to the bad ones, too. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and if you think we're doing a poor job, I'm okay with that. I get yelled at every time I put the striped shirt on, so I'm okay hearing that I don't do well.
Let's be fair, you get yelled at every time you text me, call me, work with me. I find something to yell at you about there, Larry.
Yes, you do.
That's just because I like you, buddy.
With friends like you, what do I need enemies
That's
for?
That's right. You're just sad you don't have to sit next to me anymore at the office.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's good or bad. It might be a blessing for me.
Oh, I think it is. Very much. So as they put the mats away here. Coming up tomorrow, I know we've been promoting the wrestling coverage on Saturday. We got, not that the fan base mixes too much because it seems to be a rivalry there. We got high school basketball on the Region Sports Network tomorrow night out at Hebron High School, Porter County Conference action, as the Hebron Hawks host the Morgan Township Cherokee. Porter County Conference boys basketball showdown. Tip-off scheduled for 7 o'clock right here at facebook.com/regionsports and regionsports.com. So wrestling Thursday night, basketball Friday night, 2 all-day wrestling events on Saturday. That's why we're called the only game in town.
Got a nice comment here from a former Crown Point wrestler. Not too distant.
Okay.
But he's now coaching middle school here in Crown Point.
All right.
And I worked their conference tournament last week, and he said I reffed a flawless conference tournament. And it's a kid who wrestled against Bobby.
And they complimented you.
At 195.
They complimented you and your reffing abilities.
Yes. Ethan Potowski.
Okay. Ethan, we can recommend a good optometrist for you.
Ethan and Bobby had some just awesome matches when they wrestled each other. I think it would have been Ethan's senior year, Bobby's sophomore or junior year. I'm not sure how far out Ethan is. But, man, they had some awesome duels together. Rolling
up the mat here is, again, they're going to go down to one, center it. we'll see if they put the spotlight on. You bought it, you paid for it, you might as well use it.
Oh, yeah, it's senior night. I think they'll pull it out.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it looks cool on the video stream. We'll put it that way, too.
Right.
So I always like when they use it as well.
For those just joining in, we are starting at 138 is the weight class. We had a couple people ask. So once we get varsity coverage going, we're starting with 138 and moving on from there.
Yeah, and I believe based off of the lineups we got, we're going to have 11 matches tonight. I believe Lake Central had 3 spots in the lineup. They did not fill, or at least they didn't know who they were going to wrestle. 145, 160, and 220 were all left blank there. So we'll see if those are going to be forfeits or if the Indians roll somebody out. As they get set to roll up these mats, taking their time. I think the coach there just said, "You're taking too much time."
Yeah, Coach Bruno getting them going so we could get this thing rocking and rolling.
Still the old style mat here at Crown Point. I love that.
Yeah.
You don't, with the newer mats that are coming out.
That are like strips.
Yeah, and they're a little bit, probably softer too, but, everything's still old school when Coach Flink was here. And it's just awesome to see.
There's certain sports where you like to see the evolution of the equipment and things like that. But some sports like this, old school and wrestling just kind of go together.
Well, it's the oldest sport.
That's true.
Oldest sport in history.
That's right.
That's true. Crown Point and Lake Central coming up here in just a little bit. If you're just tuning in, we just finished up the JV. Varsity up next, as Larry mentioned, starting at 138. It's going to be Jesse Mendez taking on Adam Glass. We'll have the scoreboards up for you guys and everything. In my conversation with Bill DeRula earlier, he was telling me the setup's going to be for the Carnahan with, and we see during the sectionals, they run 3 mats, usually in the tournament. But again, that's when you're at capacity here with fans. For the Carnahan, we're going to have 4 mats down here. All the bleachers downstairs are going to be pulled in. Wrestlers are going to be upstairs. They're not going to be allowed to go downstairs until their match is on deck. So they're going to be hanging out up here all day. No fans, obviously, in the gym. Bleachers pulled in, 4 mats with 14 teams here. That'll keep things moving a little bit.
Yeah, and I believe last year we ran on 4 mats down here as well.
Was it 4 or 3 last year?
What's that?
Was it 4 or 3 last year?
We ran on 4 mats last year.
Okay.
No, you're right. We did run on 3, and we suggested 4.
There you go.
Because of how
well,
long
see, the pandemic's working for everybody.
Yeah, right.
That was a joke, everybody. I'm sorry.
And here come the spotlights. And
no surprise, they're going with the spotlight here on senior night. And you can leave us a comment. Just comment there at on our Facebook feed. While you're commenting, you can like it, share the video as well. The more likes, shares, comments, views we get, the more appealing this is to advertisers, potential advertisers. And if you have a business that'd be interested in joining our fine advertisers and sponsors, you can contact us at the Region Sports Network, 219-923-2169. But the more of those we get, the more coverage we could have for you across Northwest Indiana. So if you like watching this, please feel free to like, comment, and share the video to the rest of your Facebook followers.
As you see, as the spotlight goes on and kind of what I was talking about, you see some shadows right at the edge of the mat. Especially when you get in near fall criteria or a pinning combination, those shadows can sometimes play some havoc with referees that aren't familiar with that. And I think it's different. Lewis could attest to this more than I could. Does that play a difference on the wrestlers too, those shadows?
Not too much. I don't think so personally. It's just very focused in. You train your whole life to know where the edge of the mat is, and you want to go score. I mean, the only thing that I could see that maybe defensively, if you can't see the line because of the shadows. But luckily for me, I was more on the offensive side and never on the defense, because always taught circle your backside into the center. You finish that guy out of bounds. So
spoken like a true RWA guy.
As we christened it at Portage, it's the house that Louis Acuna built, the Portage High School Gymnasium.
Yes, it is.
I think he came up with that. Not
that was a joke in the pre-show. That was a joke in the pre-show. There's been a
That's true. I maybe shouldn't have said that on air, but I did. So
There's been a lot of great Portage wrestlers before me, after me, and especially shout out to one of the Portage wrestlers that just got inducted into the Indiana High School Wrestling Hall of Fame, Sean McMurray, who was a 3-time state champion during the late 2000s. So kudos to him. Probably could be the most accoladed guy ahead of Louis Acuna for Portage Wrestling.
You're a better broadcaster, though.
Hey, I really appreciate it.
There you go. Lewis will be on the call at the Hobart Super Duels on Saturday, along with Brandon Root, Dante Colza, and veteran wrestling coach in the region, John Cook. He knows a thing or two about Hobart's style of wrestling, what Hobart's got going on, considering his son is the head coach.
Yep.
There.
And it's nice to see as successful as Coach Cook was at Valpo. Jason has been equally as successful everywhere he's been. And we love him at Hobart. He's done an awesome job. In fact, before we went on air, I saw he had went live that they got the wrestling club finally back in the room, the little guys,
nice.
And he's in there with the little guys, wrestling and showing them things. And that's one thing I really like with Hobart is the varsity coaches, Coach Johansson, Coach Cook, Coach Balish, all those guys are in the room with the wrestling club, with the little guys, because they understand that's where their future is, and their philosophy is the brick road, and they understand it starts with those little guys, those little 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds.
Two teams stand across the mat from each other here, a couple minutes away. I believe they said they were going to start at 7 o'clock, so 6:58 right now here in the region. Tonight's coverage all season long, presented by Team Toyota on 41 in Schererville. Do business with the team that supports wrestling. That's Team Toyota, thanks to Jason Akers. All the great folks over at Team Toyota for their sponsorship of high school wrestling on the Region Sports Network. PA announcer making some announcements about sportsmanship. As a referee, with the fewer fans, can you hear a little bit more of those fans chirping at you there, Larry? Basketball, wrestling?
It's funny you mention that. I had a basketball game last night, and we commented on how, with no fans in the stands, we hear coaches a lot more than we used to.
Are you a little bit slower to tee them up now, though? Do you take that into account that we're going to pause for the anthem, then you're going to answer that? Our national anthem as we get set for wrestling.
At 106 pounds, Lake Central winner Guillermo Rivera against Captain Novacek.
At 106, you're going to have Captain Novacek. We got the PA announcement, correct pronunciation. We were trying to figure that out the other day. Of Crown Point taking on Guillermo Rivera of Lake Central. 113, you have Anthony Ball of Crown Point taking on Janny Cortez. We're going to listen to the PA real quick to make sure we got all the names right.
Stefan Roberson Jr.
132, Stefan Roberson versus Hunter Helden. 138, Jesse Mendez versus Adam Glass. 145 will be a forfeit. 152, a matchup you guys talked about earlier. Isaiah Ponce of Lake Central taking on Javan Estrada. 160, we have a forfeit. Orlando Cruz for Crown Point gets the win. 170, Xavier Gomez of Lake Central taking on Nick Tatini of Crown Point. 182, Jake Seuss of LC taking on Jacob Carter of Crown Point. 195, you have Michael Degrado of Lake Central taking on Will Clark of Crown Point. 220, we have a forfeit. Paul Clark from Crown Point gets the win. And 285, Seth Garcia from LC taking on Jack Reese of Crown Point. So from what I heard, both coaches are sticking with the lineups they sent us earlier.
Helps us out a ton. I'm pretty excited about that.
So as we mentioned earlier, we're starting at 138. That is Mendez of Crown Point and Glass of Lake Central. Meeting between the captains.
Crown Point going with the two pieces today.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Haven't seen that look from them before in the duels I've covered.
I saw it out of them once last year.
So from a referee's perspective, what are you kind of going over this final meeting between the captains?
You're just talking to them about sportsmanship. Talking to them about listening to what you're asking of them, so you don't have to put a lot of stoppage, and then you flip the disc in a duel and figure out who's going to take choice and what bounce, odds or evens, and move on. It's a little bit different in a tournament setting, but in a duel setting, that's usually what we're talking about. Just a few last-minute instructions, and again, the goal of us is to let them wrestle. So if we can talk them through some things, that's kind of what we're telling them there. Much like any sport, I'm not real sure how much leaves that coaches meeting and goes back to the team.
Right.
But at least we say it.
And Lewis, before we get started, you're over/under on double stall calls this evening.
I'm going to go 1.5.
All right, there we go.
But I'll take the under today.
We had no shortage of them the other day. Watch our coverage from the Portage duels if you don't understand what we're referencing there. So here we go. Adam Glass of Lake Central taking on state-ranked number 1 Jesse Mendez, 2-time state champion for the Crown Point Bulldogs.
I mean, powerful knee pick right there. Then he's going to let him right back up. I expect him to probably go get 3 takedowns, and then he's going to look for his finish. Nice little throw by.
He's just a solid wrestler all the way around, and all the competing he does internationally in the summertime just makes him that much better. And he's such a humble kid, and he's a great kid, comes from a great family, and really like this kid.
I don't get to see too much of his matches, though, when we're broadcasting. I'm producing because I'm too busy updating the scoreboard to actually, watch his matches. Because it's 8-4 right now with 1:15 to go in the first.
That was impressive.
Yeah, there's a little freestyle action right there, a little roll through. Probably getting himself ready for the summer already. Right to a fireman's carry. He's just so explosive. Now he's got his wing bar arm. And we saw this a ton from Crown Point on Saturday. Once they got on top, this is what they were looking for, to put guys away right away.
40 seconds remaining here in the first. Jesse Mendez up 12-5. Excuse me, now 12-6 over Adam Glass of Lake Central.
Right to a sweet back trip.
He gets the fall with 33 seconds remaining. In the first, Jesse Mendez of Crown Point.
Winner by first round pin, Jesse Mendez. Next contest at 145 pounds.
That gives the Bulldogs an early 6-0 lead here after one match. Cody Goodwin wins via forfeit at 145. And guys, one of the matches you were talking about wanting to see, we don't have to wait too long for it here at 152. Javan Estrada of Crown Point
Right away.
and Isaiah Ponce of Lake Central.
He's not hesitant to go get to his offense. You'll see a lot of little elbow control, getting to some knee pull singles and duck under high crotches, and he's getting to work right away. But way to fight there from Ponce. Circle, square up, give himself a fresh start on his feet, and then he answers back with a fireman's of his own.
And it was nice to see Isaiah Isaiah was on the defensive there for the first 30 seconds, and then he finally kind of picked up the pace a little bit.
Oh, and nice little shoulder whip right there. Get 2 back points and takedown.
Makes it
Estrada is savvy, man. He's
7-3.
savvy.
Minute 15 remaining in the first at 152 pounds.
I believe this could potentially be a regional matchup, correct? As Lake Central goes East Chicago in the sectional.
Yes.
So I would suspect that these two will be on opposite ends of the bracket and meet in the finals at the Crown Point Regional.
This could very well be one we see at the DAC
Yes.
here in January, here at Crown Point. We'll have the live stream for that one as well for you.
Yeah, Estrada looking to score from everywhere on top right now. He's a lengthy wrestler, so I mean he's getting to his cross wrists, he's getting to his halves, he's getting to his bars, transitioning to cradles. I mean he's all over him on top right now. And here we go, right back on his back.
Javan Estrada up 7-3, 25 seconds to go in the first.
Yeah, this is tight.
$15 seconds.
Yeah, Ponzi just needs to try to not let that other shoulder go down.
Now,
Survive in this short time.
Yeah, 15 seconds has to feel like an eternity when you're in that position.
Oh yeah, time seems to go by way slower when you're on your back. That is for sure.
So he survives, though. Trails 10-3 as we start the second.
Yeah, Estrada chooses down right away. He believes he's going to get away right away and get right back to some offense for himself. He gets right back in on a double leg. Wrestling all the way through. Nice little scramble there, but Estrada coming out right on top.
Larry, is this a situation like you were talking about earlier, kind of near the
Yeah.
near the corner there?
Yeah, you got some shadows there. Potential, anytime you get shadows anywhere. I mean, like even you see on the wrestlers now, they have some shadows in a pinning situation. If you're not used to working under the lights and it's your only first few times, it can be tricky. It can be deceiving.
13-4 in favor of Javan Estrada. Minute 19 remaining in the second here in this 152-pound match. Third match of the night here at Crown Point. Jesse Mendez won via fall. In the first match, Cody Goodwin via forfeit at 145.
Yeah, Ponce right there. He went for a lat drop throw. Might have got a little bit desperate, a little bit too early. He's had some success getting in on Estrada's leg. Finished once and then came really close to finishing a second time, and then potentially dangerous call on the third shot attempt. So hopefully he could get back to his feet so he could refine that leg attack offense. And I wouldn't go upper body with Estrada too much.
Stall call against Ponce. It's the first, so it's a warning. As we're just over 30 seconds remaining in the second.
And again, we want to see action from that wrestler on the bottom, not just laying. And it kind of looked like there Ponce was just kind of laying and letting Estrada do whatever he needed to do. We want to see some action down there.
And there's the fall with 11 seconds remaining in the second. Javan Estrada. That's an impressive performance right there. That was one of the matches we had kind of circled, and really one-sided there in favor of Javan Estrada.
A little bit surprising there. I really anticipated Ponce to put on a little bit stronger, tougher showing there.
Yeah, hopefully he takes the positives away from that, because you're going to see this guy 2, 3, 4 more times throughout this year. So know where you're successful, see where you weren't successful, stay out of those areas that were the big point moves for Estrada to really distance himself on you. Yeah, and I'd say just feel comfortable, get to your offense right away against that guy, because he'll put up points in a hurry.
Yep.
So at 160, we had a forfeit. Orlando Cruz for Crown Point declared the victor, so that's going to move us to 170 now, with Nick Titini ranked number 5 in the East Chicago Semi-State of Crown Point, taking on Xavier Gomez of Lake Central. 24-0 our team score in favor of Crown Point.
Yeah, quick little knee pull right there from Titini to get 2, and now he's right back in on a low single, getting another 2.
He's really improved, Nick Titini, from when we first got wind of him last year to where he's at right now. He's done a really nice job. He had a nice run through the state tournament last year. This kid's a pretty impressive wrestler.
Yeah, right away getting to work on top. He had a little cross-face bundle, ran right over to his back to get 3 back points, and I could see him going right back to it again. Step through Turk. He's looking to score. Yeah, like Larry said, this kid's improved a lot. He's found himself an everyday starting spot in the lineup this year, putting on the weight to make sure he gets a starting spot. So he's really going to work for Crown Point tonight.
He's up 10-1 with just under a minute remaining in the first here. Looking to get the fall here.
Yeah, he's just working to settle in right now.
30 seconds remaining. Titini up 10-1 on the scoreboard. And there's the fall with 27 seconds to go in the first.
Yeah.
Nick Titini, that was a very impressive performance out of Titini tonight.
Yeah, Crown Point's not hesitating to get to their offense and get to some pinning combinations. I think we're seeing a little bit of that sour taste in their mouth from Saturday, losing in that tie criteria to Cathedral.
Yeah, it was Carter took the forfeit at 182.
Which that was one I believe they had announced we were going to have Jake Sues versus Jake Carter, so
I think they just bumped up Sue's, because that's not Degrado.
okay.
So they bumped him up, it's looking like.
And they may have bumped Degrado to 220 to not have that forfeit there.
Yep.
So at 195, we're going to have Will Clark versus Jake Sues.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes I'm going to ask you guys questions live on air like that.
And that's why we're here to answer.
That's right. So 36-0 in favor of the Crown Point Bulldogs in our 195-pound match.
Yeah, early we're seeing a lot of hand fighting, a lot of collar tying. It's usually what happens when we start getting up into the heavier weights here in these dual meets. A lot of hand fighting. Not as much leg attacks, but these guys look like pretty athletic guys, so I'm not going to be surprised if one of them starts getting to it here towards midway through the first period.
Under a minute, we're still scoreless here in this 195-pound matchup.
And again, if you're Lake Central, is this where you pick up some of your points in the higher weights? getting, higher weights and even into 106 and, before you get back to Frazier at 113.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping. So I think that's why you make the bump there, going away from Carter, bumping up to 95, 220, getting some of your. Hopefully, you're thinking yourself better matchups so you could get some team points up on the board for yourself.
Ten seconds remaining here in the first, still scoreless between Will Clark and Jake Sues.
Nothing here going into period 2.
And tonight's coverage and high school wrestling coverage all season long presented by Team Toyota on 41 in Schererville. Check them out online at teamtoyotaon41.com.
A couple people asking what happened at 82. It looks like so Carter took the forfeit. It looks like they bumped Sues up to wrestle 95, and I'm going to anticipate Degrado is going to fill that 220 spot that was going to be a forfeit.
220 was going to be a forfeit. So that's what we're kind of expecting here, that this is Sues here at 195. We're thinking Degrado's going to bump up to 220. A little bit of discussion between the Crown Point coaches and the referee in between the first and the second there.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what the discussion was. We have a locked hands.
Yeah, we get a 2-1 there. Nice little 3-point move for Lake Central's wrestler Sues. And now the escape for Clark. So we got a 3-1 match, takedown match.
I think you guys mentioned it, in a duel where you are the underdog here in this one, you just want to get some points on the board, build some confidence for moving forward in the future. That, all right, you're down 36-0. You're likely not going to win this duel if you're Lake Central. But again, you want to put your guys in favorable situations to get points and feel good about themselves moving forward. They're going to be at Hobart on Saturday. They got a tough field in that Super Duels. You don't want to go into that coming off being shut out.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a big part of it. Get some points, get some confidence, because I can tell you from having two boys on the mat, confidence is everything. They get a couple wins, they taste a little bit of success, and then they feel pretty good about moving forward. So if you're Lake Central, you just want to try and win a couple of these, get some points on, not keep the goose egg on the board, and move on to Saturday.
30 seconds remaining here in the second. Still 3-1 in favor of Jake Sues of Lake Central over Will Clark of Crown Point. And we started at 138. We had a Jesse Mendez fall, followed by a Cody Goodwin victory via forfeit. Javon Estrada gets the win over Isaiah Ponce via fall. Orlando Cruz via forfeit. Nick Tattini pinned Xavier Gomez. And Jacob Carter won via forfeit. That's how Crown Point got to their 36. So under 10 seconds remaining here in the second, 3-1.
And here comes that stall call. Yeah, that was pretty much a given. He was in a dangerous situation, backing up out of bounds. I really don't blame the wrestler for that, because you don't want to give up big points going into the third when you're up 2.
He very well could have got hit for fleeing as well. So, I think he got a break there, only getting hit for stalling.
Yeah.
How do you determine which is the call there?
Intent, usually. It's, fleeing has got to be an obvious run out of the circle. And, I think you could have sold either one there, either the stall or the flee. And I think, again, that's the veteran officiating and Ray Pettit to hit him with the stall call and send the warning of, hey, I see it. He may not be so generous the next time if it happens again.
Yeah, and Clark chooses bottom here to start the third. He's hoping he could go get one and then possibly go put the match away with getting a takedown for himself, or putting on that pressure and that pace again for a stall call.
Minute
but
25.
Here we go. A nice 50-50 position.
Nice.
Clark get good hips to come out on top.
Very nice.
It's going to tie us up at 3, minute 15.
What a change of events right here.
Yeah.
Seuss doing a great job. He's fighting. Back to his belly.
And you talk about Seuss, you know, how quick things change in wrestling. Seuss was pretty much in control this whole match.
Right.
And right at the drop of a dime, Clark took control.
A 15-second span, he went from up 2 to now trailing 3.
Yeah.
With 40 seconds remaining here in the third.
And here we go. He's in a little Peterson situation. He's down on the leg. He needs to get his feet underneath him with
nice
the reversal.
reversal.
Now Coach Trevline's telling him to cut him. He needs to go get a takedown.
6-5, now 7-5 with 18 seconds left.
Here we go, some fireworks. At 195, body lock position, under over position. Who's going to get it? And Clark does, straight to his back.
Man, what a great match.
Boy, that one from, let's be honest, not very much action for the first 2 to the last minute and a half. A ton of back and forth action. 9-5, 3 seconds left in favor of Will Clark of Crown Point. And that's going to do it.
Good for Will Clark to stay composed, come back, put up points, and hold on to that shutout for CP tonight. And probably getting his brother excited to go out there back to back.
Yep. Looks like Degrado did bump up.
Yeah, Degrado's bumping up here to 220. So nobody told the PA announcer. So here at 220, we have Paul Clark of Crown Point taking on Michael Degrado of Lake Central. Degrado ranks number 7 in the EC Semi-State at 195. Paul Clark ranks number 8.
With the lat drop throw for himself right away.
And Degrado with a quick 5-0 edge here, 34 seconds into this match.
Yeah, he came out lowering level, faking for those shots, and then he ends up going upper body. Shoots into an under-over position and was real confident with getting his hips underneath him to execute that throw. But there's still a lot of match left, as we see from the last Clark.
That's true.
Yep.
The last Clark match.
It looked like things were trending one way and finished up not so much.
That's the beauty of this sport. You know, you could be in a really bad spot for 10 seconds, and the next 10 seconds you're on top and winning the match. So
we saw a match like that. Was it the Portage Crown Point duel at Portage the other day? Portage wrestler was up
at 106. Portage's wrestler came back with the fall.
He came back and got the fall when he was trailing by a handful of points. .35 seconds remaining here in the first. Michael Degrado of Lake Central bumping up to 220. He's up 5-0 over Paul Clark of the Crown Point Bulldogs. LC trying to crack the scoreboard here this evening.
Yeah, Degrado, he's getting the good wrist rides. He's trying to keep Clark flat, trying to present that he's working towards something on top, and just holding on to great position with short time left going into the second period.
So at the end of one, still 5-0 our score.
And Crown Point chooses on their feet there. Coach Hawkins giving Paul Clark some, hey, we got to get going, man. We're down 5. Degrado not wasting time. Front headlock, near side cradle. Doesn't get the back points, but secures his 2-point takedown.
Now it's a 7-0 deficit for Clark.
That's one.
There it is.
There's one.
There it is.
There you go. He said 1.5.
I said 1.5.
And you took the under, so.
And usually they don't happen too much after 106. So I'm
Feeling good?
I'm feeling good.
All right.
Heavyweights don't disappoint. Degrado in a bundle situation for himself here. With Paul Clark, he needs this. I was looking for him to build the base right there, get his knees underneath him, and hopefully start circling up to his feet. But Degrado recognized he wasn't in the best position himself and circles right back around the hips. And there goes Clark to get his one.
Under a minute to go in the second, 7-1 in favor of Lake Central's Michael Degrado in the black and blue. Paul Clark of Crown Point in the red, the white CP on his back.
Clark getting some offense going for himself right here. Trying to step over. Degrado showing toughness and good hips right there, keeping himself under control and slipping out underneath for a 2-point takedown himself.
Fun little scramble right there for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
But, again, in his brother's match just in the 195, that's all it took to get his brother, back on track was a little scramble like that. Get what little crowds in here, behind, get the energy going. And that, again, in this sport, and that's what I talked about, coming into Saturday, you don't have any fans in the stands. You have, nice scrambles like that where fans are getting excited, and you can build on that. As a wrestler, Lewis, how do you try and get that excitement? How do you find that energy when you don't have anybody in the stands in scramble situations like that?
Yeah, you're just, especially if you're down, you're just trying to create some action to where you're getting yourself into really comfortable positions, especially if you feel like you're athletic and have great hips, creating those flurries to where you could not only get 2, but create an opportunity to get an extra 2-3 points on the board to really close that gap or give yourself even a bigger lead. And right here, we got Clark. Close. See, he's creating action. That's what you need to do for yourself. Not with much fans in the stands, but for your teammates to get behind you.
Yep.
Especially, and then you could definitely tell in your coach's voices that the excitement gets ramped up in them, too, really pushing for you to go for more points in your corner.
Minute 18 remaining in this match. Michael Degrado of Lake Central up 10-3. As the Indians try to win their first match of the evening.
Degrado's trying to get it come out the back there. Clark was a little high on him.
Yeah, we're going to see Clark end up cutting him. Looking for a near side cradle. Degrado slips his head out. But we're seeing a lot more in this day and age, too. The bigger guys, a lot more athletic, bigger guys than I remember from when I was a kid watching high school wrestling. There was, but we're seeing leg riding from big guys now. So you got to be ready to wrestle everywhere. It's not just your father's big guys wrestling where it's just a lot of hand fighting and pushing going on. It's guys looking to score points everywhere.
Wasn't it 2 or 3 years ago at the state championship meet? The 285 from Brownsburg in that third place match. I fortunately was able to referee him in the sectional that year. And you want to talk about an athletic 285-pound wrestler. That kid was very, very good, and he made that third-place match that place was electric.
Clark's going to get called for stalling here, his second, so it makes it 14-3, 5 seconds remaining.
Good performance by Degrado. Get your points, get a major decision for yourself, bumping up a weight class.
They're going to take a short break right now to clean the mats. We're going to step aside here for a quick second and step away from our broadcast table for a minute. We'll be back. We'll keep the stream going, of course. but we will step aside for a few moments, and we will talk to you guys when it's time for 285. Okay, we're back here at 285. Thanks for sitting through that break while they clean the mats. Weren't sure how long that was going to take, so we wanted to step aside, give us a little bit of break here as we start 285. We got Jack Reese of Crown Point taking on Seth Garcia of Lake Central.
the big boys, a lot of push and pull.
Oh yeah, lots of push and pull. But Crown Point's heavyweight, he's coming out banging, bringing the pace forward. So, I mean, that's the kind of a start that you want to get to, imposing your will and your hand fights as a big guy, making him feel the heavy hands in that weight. So, good little hand fight action to start so far. Nice little slide by to a little half double attempt. A little quick high crotch knee pull. Good defense by Naus there.
Under a minute to go in the first, scoreless between Jack Reese of Crown Point and Seth Garcia of Lake Central.
Garcia's doing a good job for himself, trying to create angles to some little quick, short offense attempts. But he's got to do a good job here. You want to circle in. You don't want to get that early stall call.
3, 2, and 1. That's going to do it for the first. Again, if you're just joining us here on the broadcast, we started at 138 tonight. We're at 285.
Not very often you see on choice in heavyweight a guy take the defensive position. Normally you see him up top. And again, we talked about the athleticism we're starting to see in the bigger weight classes, and that's a key right there. Reese took bottom and got out pretty quickly from that bottom position.
Oh yeah, like you said, Larry, we're seeing a lot more athletic, bigger guys, and that's a confidence thing too. When you're a big guy and you know you could go get one, that's a free point on the board for you, because a lot of the times action is harder to score on your feet. You don't want to put yourself underneath a 250-pound guy on your back too often. So. Short offense is a little bit harder to come by for these guys. So if you're confident to go get that one, yeah, choose bottom. And it pays dividends for you in case it goes into a double overtime.
Right.
You get that choice, right, Larry?
Right, exactly.
Under a minute remaining in the second. Jack Reese of Crown Point up 1-0. Bulldogs in control of the duel 39-4.
And Garcia doing a good job trying to clear that underhook. You don't want to let this guy have an underhook controlling you towards the edge of the mat. And I expect a little snap to clear out of this tie, and there we go.
15 seconds remaining in the second. Stall warning against Jack Reese.
Yeah, Garcia put two. They weren't they weren't going to score as much, but he's showing that he's attempting to go get to some sort of leg offense and putting that pressure on this guy. And there he goes all the way down. It's a low shot right at the end of the period.
And again, that's an impressive move for a big guy. How many big guys you see go after that double leg like that?
Not too many. You just got to hope you don't get stuck underneath there when you do it.
Yeah, right.
You gotta come up right away, or you got to find your angle right away.
I think going back to that stall warning against Reese as well, I think the Crown Point coaches knew that was coming. We could hear Bill Hawkins saying, "Don't stop wrestling, Jack," and I think they kind of sensed that He was going to get dinged for a stall there as we're now tied up at 1.
Yeah, Reese, he's doing a good job of hand fighting. He's controlling a lot of ties so far this match. He just hasn't found himself being able to touch Garcia's legs at all yet. So, and then when he went into a little lull of his hand fighting, that's where we see that stall call come into play, because Garcia is coming for those leg attacks, or at least faking, touching legs, providing some action on his feet.
Tied up at 1 with 1:20 remaining here in this 285-pound match.
Nice little exciting body lock situation right here at the edge, but out of bounds.
Under a minute remaining.
Yeah, you hear some yelling there. Don't give that position up. When you if you're a big guy and you got a front headlock, you want to utilize that, using that front headlock, snapping them to the mat.
"35 seconds.
Good for Garcia there, noticing that he's on the edge, circles, forcing the action out of bounds when he's in a little dangerous position himself in that under-over.
Mat awareness is so big when you're wrestling, and, obviously terminology's had to change a little bit with coaches as far as, back in the day, probably when you were wrestling, if you were at the edge of the mat, you guys would have a key word to tell you, hey, get out of bounds, force that stoppage. Can't really do that now with the way the rules are written, so you got to your mat awareness has to be there, and you have to show the referee that you're still actively trying to referee while still getting yourself to your ultimate goal of getting out of bounds.
3, 2, and 1.
And we got some bonus wrestling here, folks, at heavyweight.
So here we go, tied up at 1.
Garcia really bringing the action. Might be looking for that stall call just to get the one to end it.
Yeah, and Reese has got to be careful here because he's already got a warning.
Yep. And we're back in this under-over. Reese got the body lock.
30
Garcia.
seconds.
Ray Pettit trying to let them finish this on their own, but I don't think Reese is giving them much choice here.
No, if we see one more of those, it might be the end. The front headlock.
21 seconds left here.
We hear the Lake Central bench a little bit chirping about CP's heavyweight stalling.
10 seconds remaining.
But Garcia's got to be a little bit careful there. You don't want to get too overzealous trying to force a stall call. Then you might put yourself in a bad shot situation. But here in a low single attempt at the end of the buzzer, doesn't finish.
Well, it's not quite sudden death. We're going to wrestle two 30-second periods here. If we're still tied, then we go into the ultimate tiebreaker.
And then that's where that 1 point would come into play, Larry.
Yep, absolutely.
Hopefully the clock gets changed because they put a minute on the board, but is it supposed to be 2:30 seconds?
2:30 seconds, yep. And neither coach nor the second referee have picked that up yet. So this should be the end of the period right here.
Garcia did a great job for himself, putting himself in a good position to hopefully go get a win. He needs a ride out, but he got away right away.
You've spent some time in the corner in youth tournaments. We've had the chance to be on the mat together. Should we get an escape here, and this goes into the ultimate, with the way these two are wrestling, where are you putting your guy? You putting him on top and letting him ride out that 15, or are you putting him on the bottom?
Not in this match, but if I have the choice, I've seen my guy has gotten away in under 15 seconds for either guy both times. I'm going down.
Yep.
I'm trusting my guy to go get away because my guy hasn't proved that they could get to any time-killing rides. But here we could.
I expect Coach Trevline to take this to the table.
Yeah, I don't know if it was 2 before the buzzer.
I think that's what Coach Trevline's asking right now is, did the buzzer hit before the 2 points was secured?
And they count it.
So Jack Reese going to get the win.
Good for Reese there, because the match isn't over. You got to keep wrestling through your position. Way to go get it with a few seconds left. Whether the buzzer went off or not, you finished.
And I think for Reese, if that goes into the ultimate tiebreaker, that wasn't in his favor because he was really starting to get sluggish there as that match continued.
Yeah.
So we head up to 106.
Rivera right away into a nice sweep single. Looking to finish with the cut back and the split the middle position.
This match features Captor Novacek from Crown Point and Guillermo Rivera from Lake Central.
Good chain wrestling there from a single back to a double, single back to a double. Good finish there for Rivera.
Yep. We knew it wasn't going to be long before that stall call came out.
Yeah, you got to work to return there, folks, when you're on top. Can't be hanging up on your feet for too long, or else you're going to get hit. But right back where he started at the beginning of the match, a little left side sweep single.
.40 seconds remaining. Rivera of LC up 4-1 here at 106.
And Captor's got to be a little aware there. You want to be strong on bottom. Don't want to be giving up easy suck back to near fall points there. So find a way to get back to your feet and get your own offense going.
Five seconds.
And Rivera doing a good job there at the end of the period to not do the same thing that he did earlier in that first period, right, Larry?
Right. Yep, exactly. He was working to get him back to the mat and return him, and he did a nice job right before the horn of doing that. And I think it saved him another stall call, honestly.
Captor getting his own offense going finally on a left side high crotch in the split the middle position. He secures that other foot to get his two.
Four to 3 our score, minute 20 to go in the second.
And Captor in right away, throwing legs in once he gets in on top. This is where he looked pretty comfortable on Saturday as well. and I could hear Coach Sessa yelling leg over, leg over. He's hoping for Captor right there to get his leg, to get Rivera's leg over on the other side, but Captor does a great job transitioning to a power half. Could possibly put this match away.
28 seconds.
And there you have it.
Nice
There's
pan.
the fall with 16 seconds remaining in the second. Captain Novacek for Crown Point gives the Bulldog a now 48-4 lead over Lake Central. And our next match at 1:13, you have Anthony Ball, ranked number 1 in the EC Semi-State of Crown Point, taking on number 3 at 106, ranked Johnny Cortez.
Yeah, and here we got a rematch of the IHPO, the Indiana Hoosier Preseason
Yep.
Open. These guys squared off first round there, and Ball won a close 1-point match. They're up at 13 today, though. That was at 109 in the preseason.
And again, two wrestlers who I think are going to become very familiar with each other as the season moves on. Probably two of the better 113s in the Duneland Conference.
Cortez being a little bit too overzealous, trying to shoot a knee pick, but he didn't have a collar tie there to really control the head, and Ball does a great job of just passing it right by and getting an easy 2 for himself. Good mat return by Ball. But don't be surprised if Cortez keeps putting his head by his knee on his stand-up, where Ball might come over the top using his length to secure up a cradle, because we saw cradles and bunches from him on Saturday.
Two to one here in the first period. Now 4-1.
Good down block finish for Ball. And right back up.
35 seconds to go here in the first, 4-2.
Yeah, we'll see throughout this season if Cortez finds himself that permanent home here at 13. Like Nathan said, he is ranked still at 106, so we'll see if he ends up dropping back down and Rivera's the odd man out there. But
And you see a lot of that after the holidays. You know, a lot of kids, you know, they wrestle up all year, and then come tournament time, they're where they should be and moving through the bracket.
and that 2-pound allowance usually after the holidays will
Yeah, that usually helps.
it usually helps.
Although there's some rumor of them taking that away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's I believe it's one of the items on the docket for a rule change in the future.
I could see that. I could see it just for the health standpoint of possibly that 2-pound allowance promoting an extra weight cut or something like that for these guys. So I could see that being a reason why it's taken off. And Anthony Ball just being strong, overpowering Cortez right there with a little pancake straight to his back.
Makes it 10-2 now. And don't worry, I'll take on all the extra pounds around the holidays. It's okay. And before the holidays and after them. And
Here's that cradle that I was talking about earlier. Got to be careful with putting your head by your knee.
He sits back on that, and he'll be locked in pretty deep.
minute 10 remaining here in the second. Anthony Ball of Crown Point in control, 10-2. And lead's going to increase here in just a few moments.
Great job of following Cortez on that.
Yeah, and Cortez coming right back on his own. Oh, weird. I mean, these are the light guys, because I would have broke my back in that scramble right there.
So 13-2 now in favor of Ball with 47 seconds to go in the second at 113 pounds. Just 3 matches to go following this one. We started tonight at 138. Crown Point in control, 48-4.
And that was slick right there. I don't know if too many people get to see it on the on the tape right there, but Anthony Ball using his foot, a little trip. That's a little veteran savvy. That's what I call an old guy move that I hit on guys in the room these days because I can't, not as fast as I used to be on my leg attack. So nice tie to his little foot trip into his offense, and that was phenomenal. Closing in on a nice tough leg ride to finish the second period.
He's going to finish the second with a 17-4 lead.
A takedown here by Ball and give him a tech fall.
Yeah, and Cortez is a scrapper, so he came out right away, but he needs to fight here, find a way to not give it up to 2, but he does.
There's that 2 for the tech fall victory, 19-4 in favor of Anthony Ball. Gives Crown Point a 53-4. Our next match at 120 pounds, we got Logan Frazier of Crown Point, ranked number 2 in the EC semi-state, taking on Chase Kasperzak of Lake Central.
Yeah, and Frazier's back down to his weight class. We saw him compete on Saturday at 126 for the team because they got Sammy going out right now. So he's back down in his normal weight class, and we'll see the backup for Crown Point at 26 and see what he's got tonight. But Frazier's going to get into some heavy hand fights and try to get his offense going here.
You think Coach does that to get him ready for the bracket on Saturday in the Carnahan, with Brownsburg coming in and potentially seeing a state opponent, put him back in his weight class and get him ready to wrestle within his weight class Saturday?
Yeah, just to get yourself back in the groove of facing guys a little bit more your size. The speed doesn't change too much, and just that comfortability of, I don't know if he weighed in at 120 on Saturday, but just being right back on your weight and then getting to work on the guys, and conference seating purposes tonight too.
Right.
If you know you're gonna wrestle 120 the rest of the year in a DAC duel, you kind of want to go your weight class that you're gonna wrestle for the rest of the year.
And get those seating points come tournament time.
And Frazier is a great leg rider. He'll throw in 2 boots and get to his power halves. Go get back points.
20 seconds remaining in the first. Logan Frazier up 5-0.
And what makes him so tough here is he's keeping his hips square to the mat while he's wrenching that power half.
And he gets the fall with 10 seconds remaining.
And that's what we usually called back in the day in the wrestling room as a youth wrestler myself. You're wringing them like a rag.
Yep.
Wringing them like a rag and putting them away.
So 59-4 now our dual score in favor of the Bulldogs. Just a couple matches left here at 126. Got Christian Washington of Crown Point taking on CJ Brenner of Lake Central. And Lewis, as you mentioned a little bit ago, a good opportunity here for Washington to kind of show the coaches what he has on the varsity level with Goin being out.
Yeah, because we very well know guys in the past for Crown Point, they could start probably almost any other school in the state of Indiana. So if you're Washington, you want to go put on that show and, hey guys, I'm going to be the next man in line, and then put the state on notice because he's going to be ready. Here comes a headlock attempt from Lake Central's 126-pounder. But Washington does a good job defending that with the mat return to get his 2.
Washington for Crown Point, Brenner of Lake Central. It's our second to last match of the evening. Got a couple ranked guys going head-to-head at 132 next.
And he's tilted him over. He has a wing with the cross wrist on that wing side, so it's nice and tight. Lake Central was doing a great job of fighting hands to get off his back there.
Yep. Potentially dangerous when they rolled out of that arm. Maybe got a little bit too up towards the shoulder.
Yeah, why do they call that, Larry?
Just, you don't want that shoulder. When you push that arm too close to the shoulder, from the back, it strains that muscle. So it's more or less protecting the wrestler. As you well know, you injure your shoulder in wrestling, it really limits what you can do the rest of the match. So, we like to see it at that 90. We don't want it to really get in that 45 area because you're just putting too much strain on the arm and the shoulder.
15 seconds to go here in the first. Washington of Crown Point up 5-0.
Washington just staying tough here. Looking to control wrist, move on to the second period. Washington doing a great job being explosive. Listening to his corner, I heard Sessa, Hawkins, and Lorick both say, hey, we got to get moving right away underneath. And he did that to get his reversal.
He's got that cradle there. Yep.
And that is tight.
I don't think there's much more he can do there. Yep. That was tight. He gave him that cradle right away when they were up in the neutral position.
And Christian Washington gets the fall for Crown Point at 126 pounds. Extends that lead to 65-4.
Pretty impressive by Washington, for a backup. Wrestling with Goyne in the room, I'm sure, has helped that. That was really impressive there. He had a nice showing tonight.
Yep, so he could be a name that we circle and could see in the lineup if Goen doesn't get healthy, or next season as a guy that's going to be in this lineup making noise for the Crown Point Bulldogs.
It really is a situation here at Crown Point, next man up. I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody's hurt, somebody's graduated, whatever the case is. The next guy who comes in is equally as strong to fill those spots.
Here we got the ranked matchup.
Yep, we got Stefan Roberson Jr., ranked number 1 in the EC Semi-State for Crown Point, and number 4, Hunter Helden of Lake Central.
Yeah, and he, like Estrada, he's one of these Illinois guys that came over, moved over to Indiana, looking to compete. So make a name for himself like Estrada already has early this season by taking on one of the top guys in the state of Indiana and in our semi-state. I know after Saturday, talking to some of the Crown Point staff, what they hope for Roberson is to get his offense going just a little bit earlier. Because, he's fully capable, as we just see right there. Because they don't want another scenario where he got to go get 8 takedowns in a period.
No.
And I was just, as we watched that match on Saturday against Cathedral, I couldn't figure out why, in my opinion, Roberson had every opportunity and could easily have pinned the kid from Cathedral, and why they just went for the tech fall versus just get the 6 and don't even run the risk of criteria. Why would you even want to run the risk of criteria? Just go get the pin, win by 1, and move on.
Here we go, Roberson going right. Oh, that's some strength.
Yeah.
That
5 seconds
strong,
remaining.
Strong to fight right there.
Unfortunately for Hunter Helden, the clock's going to run out on the first there.
Yep.
But yeah, they might not have been aware. I don't know if for sure if there's been any criteria that has changed over the years, whether it's the individual matches won and the number of falls flipped, and they might have not been aware of it. That's the only reason that I could think of.
I happened to work a basketball game that night at Portage after that, and in talking with Mike Pointer there, Cathedral was under the impression because earlier in the day in a duel, they got hit with unsportsmanlike. They thought that carried over into that Crown Point duel. So I think everybody was thinking that because of the unsportsmanlike, Crown Point was going to win if it went to criteria. But because it didn't happen within that duel is why it didn't carry over.
Gotcha.
6-0 our score here. 1:25 to go in the second. It's our final match of the evening. Stefan Roberson, Jr. of Crown Point, taking on Hunter Helden of Lake Central.
Yeah, Roberson doing a great job right off the whistle. Listening to your coaches. Get to your first move on bottom, and he did. And now he's right back into the position where he left off in the first period. Cross wrist wing, getting back points, and he's settling in for the fall.
He gets the fall with 1:03 to go.
And how sweet is that for senior night?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stefan Roberson caps it off on senior night, caps off a 71-4 dual victory for the Crown Point Bulldogs. So that's going to do it for us here from Crown Point High School. A reminder, we'll be here again on Saturday as the Bulldogs host the Carnahan. 14 teams here coming to Crown Point. We'll also be at the Hobart Super Duels on Saturday as well. Live video from both. No fans, no parents allowed at either. You can watch it all on regionsports.com, facebook.com/regionsports, and regionwrestling.com, and youtube.com/regionsports. Starting from 9 here at Crown Point to 10:30 at Hobart. Guys, another impressive performance for the Bulldogs this evening. Not one that was too surprising.
Yeah. No, I thought they wrestled well. Good tune-up for them getting into Saturday. Honestly, even for Lake Central, they didn't, I think, wrestle horrible, but this was a good tune-up for them to go into the Hobart Super Duels.
Yeah, you got to find your positives in this duel. We talked about that, similar to Portage. I mean, you're going against a state juggernaut.
Right.
Find your positives. This is still early in the season. You could still build plenty from this if you're Lake Central and Coach Trevline. Pretty sure we'll get these guys dialed in. Take those positives away of everything that you did right. Don't dwell on the wrongs. Learn, keep building throughout the rest of the year.
And as you mentioned, plenty of season moving forward for both of these teams. So that's going to do it here from Crown Point High School. Reminder, all wrestling coverage in the 2020-2021 season brought to you by Team Toyota on 41 in Schererville. Do business with the team that supports wrestling. That's Team Toyota. Our executive producer is Chris Ramirez. Our cameraman tonight, Brandon Root. Broadcast crew tonight, we had Louis Acuna and Larry Babcock. I want to thank the athletic director of Crown Point High School, Bill DeRule, and, of course, all the viewers who tuned in tonight, whether it was on Facebook, YouTube, or on one of our family of websites. Thank you so much for watching high school wrestling on the Region Sports Network. Back Saturday with wrestling, tomorrow night, basketball live from Heben. So from everybody at the RSN, my name is Nathan Laird saying thanks for watching. You have been watching high school wrestling on the Region Sports Network, where the region comes to wrestle.